Hi dear friends, welcome in our new video. We are going to talk today about some very interesting concepts, namely neidan practice, which is one of our regular subjects, but we do this in relationship to our sensory perception and what is called paranormal perception. But we also go talk about neidan practice in the form of ling body studies. These are the preparations for your immortal body, and what kind of additional um, possibilities that creates for your awareness of your environment as a whole. So let's delve into it. After you pressed the button to like this video, and if you haven't joined our channel yet, then maybe also subscribe to our channel. And if you really like this subject, why don't you think about joining our channel on our Patreon to support the making of these movies? And if you are really interested in this kind of subjects and you don't have a teacher around, which will be most likely, then join our classes so that you can cut to learn these kind of things. We are planning for the next year a lot of ling body practices, and in the different workshops that we give on different locations, hopefully if COVID works with us, then we will be able to give you this live and otherwise through online learning. And also, you can of course enter our Chinese medicine studies, where it is an obligatory part of your studies, because without it you can't really study Chinese medicine anyway, period. One of the main things in neidan practice is the perception of your exercise results. It is okay to exercise mindlessly and so on, but it is more something for in the gym. The idea is not that you do something that you can only see your results in your blood values or in a scan or something by a machine, but you are learning to hone your senses, and you're learning to hone the range of your perception, and you are therefore also cleaning up your perceptual organs to make sure that you see the things that you really see and that you don't make up things. A lot of people, they fantasize a lot while they're thinking or while they're watching things or listening to things, and they hear things that are not really there. And there is also a difference there between paranormal perception and things that you just make up, and that subtlety is not clear to everybody. So let's delve into that part. What you like to be aware of is that at the moment when you are in control over your sense organs, then you have an instrument to give you feedback about what you're doing through your exercises. Your sense organs are divided over your eyes, your ears, your nose, your taste, your touch, of course, your neural information from both the internal system and the external systems, your neural networks, your brain, the chemical transmission between different hormones, and again your brain, and so on. So these things are important to take into consideration when we talk about these things. The feedback that provides makes that you can see where you go wrong or not good enough in your exercises. And at the moment when you do your exercise perfect, that means that there is a perfect average reached in the experience. Then at that moment you can feel like there's something else going on. That is what is called the dirty experience, and it is the fact that your exercise seems to really enlighten you, and therefore it is called enlightenment, minor enlightenment. And as a result of that, you can say, okay, my chi is perfect. There is a Tao, there's a chi, and there is the chi, the arrival of chi, that is proving that. And then that means also you have overcome your doubt about the validity of your exercise. Mind you, this is of course different from when you feel your energy rising or anything like that, because any form of excitement, emotions, pathogenic effect and so on can all feel like energy inside your body, like something really important is happening, and it can definitely create all kind of intense sensations which might feel like really meaningful, while in fact they are just feelings. Our exercises and our sensory input, they are together joined into the particular totality of the experiences, and as a human being, we have to make sense out of that to get to a better result from our exercises and come to realize the validity and the purpose of an exercise as a result of that. The thing is, there is a lot to perceive. There are so much to see in the world that is completely invisible to us. Our sense organs only give a small range of data, and we live in a very tiny slither of sensory information from where we have to come to understand what we can do, what we cannot do. Look at this range of data that you have here. This is the range between things that are taking place, and everything in that sense as like I say, a radiation kind of impulse. Everything comes with a particular kind of amplitude, frequency, and so on and so on. And we only see this tiny, tiny, tiny bit of that. And that means that most of the information that's going on around us is being missed. And that part that we are seeing, this is in scientific terms called the Umwelt. And the Umwelt is basically the sense of reality that we have. And neidan practice is trying to enlarge that Umwelt so that we have more data, we can perceive more things. Some people do that by accident. They have by accident ability to see particular kind of things just on the edge of what normal people see, and then they say, oh, these are paranormal, or these are hypersensitive. When you become weaker, like for instance when you have what in Chinese medicine is called a Sun condition, it means that your body, your mind or anything like that is decrepit and it's busy falling apart, and you're trying to hold things together with basically with tape and wires and so on. So this is then your biology, like a squeaking wheelbarrow, and from there you become hypersensitive because you're very vulnerable and you pick up on all kind of things. This is also why many people actually are sick, and as a result of that they have slight forms of paranoia and delusion because they see things that they don't understand, because they have not been trained to perceive the things for what they are. So they just basically guess data that they are getting into their system and hope that the data is good. And sometimes it is good, like some people build a career as a paranormal person while in fact they are really very weak and sick because they guess a few times right. But as you know probably from your own experience, there's a lot of things that you can guess, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. But the admiration of other people that you dare to guess gives you an aura of success, and that can make you feel really very good. I mentioned before our brain being a sense organ, but the only thing that it is aware of usually, besides the shocks that happens when you're being beaten on your head or you're falling or you're bumping into something, is the electrical and chemical data that you get from the other organs. That means that everything has to be translated into data for the brain, and then it has to classify it. So the only thing that it sees is neural data, and it has to recognize patterns in there. So it is doing that, and it's doing that pretty good in most cases, and as a result of that we can interpret the things of our senses, and these are being brought into our heart. This is a Daoist perspective, of course, what I'm now talking about. When they come into your heart, then at that moment you can put a moral value on that data, and as a result of that you can interact with your environment. In your heart it is being mingled with what is called the zhongqi, that is your interaction with your environment, where the self comes from, and also with the zhenqi, which is your ancestral data, your history, so to say. That is both, all three parts of them, they are building you up towards the person that you actually are trying to be. For normal people, the sense data are strictly separated. You can see that with measurement of the brain and the cortex, you see that particular parts of the cortex are especially for the ears, for the nose, for the eyes, and so on and so on. All the sense organs have their own thing. What we do through neidan practice, meditation, qigong, Daoyin, tai chi chuan, and so on, is that we create crossovers between all these different kind of cortex pieces, and therefore we create larger informational networks through which the brain can perceive data in different kind of ways, in a similar kind of way as people are connecting computer systems to find data that is normally staying hidden. Your brain does that by itself through meditation. The funny thing, we talk about umwelt of people, but of course animals have the same thing, and plants have the same thing, fungi have the same thing, even slime molds have the same thing. This umwelt from all the different kind of creatures, this is the limitation of perception that people have. For instance, dogs, they perceive things in a different way than people, and as a result of that, their behavior is adjusted to that. Because of the luxury of living with people, they don't have to hunt and so on, so their intelligence can shine, they can do much more with this data because they have time, they don't have to continuously be in panic. You see, in societies that are unsafe, people are in panic and they are more likely to make wrong decisions. So by creating safe societies, we also automatically we create better societies because people can think and cooperate better. And as a result of that, they can also make crossovers with other animals and plants and work with them, can understand what they need and also serve them so that these plants and animals also can serve us. Well, what do you think? Was this topic interesting? I think personally it is. So if you haven't done it yet, then make sure you connect with the channel by joining or liking the video anyway, joining us maybe on our Patreon so that we can afford to make more videos like this. Go into direct communication with me because when you join our Patreon, you get also into our WhatsApp group. You can then, of course, discuss things with me directly if you want to. And maybe you should also make a Telegram group. There's more and more people moving to there nowadays. What do you think? And also, when we are doing classes, you're welcome there, and you can always ask questions. We have on several moments of the week. We have also Q&As that are publicly available for everybody who is a member, that can be followed also on Facebook and YouTube. So join us if you like. We try to create a better world. We try to create what is called a DAO land, and as a result of that, provide grassroots organizations for people who are on this pragmatic way, working on the health of their communities. So join us, and for the rest, if you don't, equally good friends, I love you, and take good care of yourself and your environment.